Welcome back to my channel, guys. Before I get into this video's topic, two things I want to mention. I don't know if you'll be able to hear them, but I don't know if it's mating season, but the tropical parrots here, the green parrots, are going crazy. For the past half hour, they've been chirping and chirping. So if you hear that, if you hear a bizarre animalistic sound, that's what that is. No, I'm not torturing animals in my apartment somewhere in the closet in a cage. So that's that. The other thing is I'm quite sunburnt and I'm not sure if it reads on camera. I actually just look tan from here. I think it's the lighting, but I'm very sunburnt because I spent the entire day yesterday in the sun at, you guessed it, a nude beach. I went to Miami's only nude beach. There's only one here, which I never knew. Never been here before. Haulover Beach is the name. I've heard of Haulover Beach so many times since moving to Miami about 6 years ago at the time that I'm making this video. And I've just never been. I've only ever been to one nude beach before, Black's Beach in San Diego, California. Some of you might be familiar with that beach. I've actually talked about it on this channel before. Very different experience. Black's Beach in San Diego, first of all, one of my favorite beaches, not because of the nude part, but it's just a beautiful beach in general. And you have to hike down this huge cliff with stunning views and amazing sunsets there. I was feeling adventurous and I realized that I could take the Miami Beach boardwalk all the way up if I biked. So I thought, let me bike up using City Bike that I have this monthly subscription to. And I biked up the boardwalk and then I biked some more, saw beaches that I never knew existed, kept going for about an hour. And then I eventually had to stop at the final City Bike station in North Miami. Good thing I did my research first, that I discovered for whatever reason there are no City Bike stations once you get to Haulover Beach, which has this nude beach. I crossed this bridge as a pedestrian with all the cars. I'm sharing all this context to sort of build up the anticipation and the suspense that this was like a journey to get to this beach, right? So it's been over an hour at this point of sport and might, and I end up at Haulover Beach. The footage that I'm showing you here is, of course, the regular part of Haulover Beach, meaning not the nude section, because I didn't film anything in the nude section. I would have gotten my ass kicked if I did. But it's interesting because as I was walking in the regular section, not the nude section, I was thinking, this looks so different from Black's Beach. Black's Beach in San Diego, you're so isolated because you have to hike all the way down this huge cliff. So it's not like anybody from a car can see you. It's not like anybody can just stumble upon this beach. But I was thinking, walking on the beach here in Miami at Haulover Beach, like, wow, this is kind of like out in the open. So I kept walking more and more until I saw this sign and I knew I had arrived. There's this thin, frail little wooden picket fence that separates the regular part of the beach from the nude section. And it's literally just this tiny little wooden thing. And on one side you have a ton of naked people, and on the other side you have people who are fully clothed. Just thought that was funny. And I also saw this sign, which I thought, oh wow, like we're definitely out in the jungle now. Okay, we're definitely out in the jungle. Although I've been to that nude beach in San Diego, entering this beach, this nude beach, was kind of Twilight Zone-ish because there's people everywhere. Like, it was super packed and busy. And okay, it is, at the time that I'm making this video, technically spring break era. And it was a beautiful weekend and all those things. But that was my second sort of observation, that the beach in San Diego, not only do you have to hike down quite far and it's very isolated, but everything in California is spread out. So you have your space at the nude beach. So for beginners, for people who have never been to a nude beach, it's like, you can take a second to sort of observe and get into it if you want to take your clothes off, right? But you have space, like physically, mentally. This was like, there's a towel with somebody naked 5 to 10 feet away from you in every direction. So I found myself a little spot, took my trunks off, and exposed parts of my body to the sun that have not seen the sun since, well, I guess probably since I've been to Black's Beach, San Diego, I think during the pandemic. As soon as I laid down naked, These two black men, these two like hunks, really sexy, football player build, totally naked, are walking towards me, and they're both hung like horses. Okay, like huge, enormous. And I'm just like, I just got here, right? So I'm laying down like, huh. And I observe them for multiple reasons. And they first I was like, are they together? Like what's happening here? Because they were keeping a distance from each other, but only about 10 feet. So I couldn't tell, like it didn't seem clear that it didn't seem like they were together, but they were also, I thought it was bizarre that they were following each other's path otherwise. So they're just going around different people on the beach. And I thought they have to be cruising. Like why else would you just randomly walk around people? Wouldn't you just like walk by the water, right? Like along the shore? So I'm already kind of frazzled, right? Like I just got here, there's naked people everywhere. You see that kind of sight and you're like, I got to explore myself. So I sat for another 5 minutes and then I got up and started exploring. Now, you're probably wondering, did I get fully nude? Interestingly, at Black's Beach, I would get dressed once I would leave my towel. So like I would sunbathe naked. But then if I actually went into the water or wanted to go on a long stroll, I would put my trunks on. Here, I guess because the vast majority of people were naked and you're surrounded by naked people everywhere, I don't know, I felt freer. Maybe it's an age thing that you just become more comfortable. I thought, I am pale down there. Let's get some sun, which I somewhat regret because now I'm very sunburnt in general, but I'm very sunburnt down there, even though I, of course, put sunscreen. Make sure to bring sunscreen, kids. This is the PSA part of the video. Maybe not kids. I don't know if we actually there were a couple children, by the way, which I thought was strange. Not that anything sexual was happening, right? There was that sign that made it very clear you're not supposed to do anything sexual. I just, to me, that was bizarre to have kids in a place where there's so many adults naked. I just, maybe that's my own issue of connecting nudity to sexuality. I just found it peculiar. Like people are drinking, they're naked. There's definitely going to be people flirting in this kind of situation. I saw several guys smoking joints. We know what happens with marijuana. It's a what would we call it? An aphrodisiac. Anyway, I digress. So I felt very free to walk around naked myself. And I also feel like in those environments, you sort of have to play ball. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, if every person gets self-conscious at a nude beach, then it's not even a nude beach anymore. And then if half the people are clothed, then it feels almost like you're cheating. If I don't know if that makes sense, but I was surprised by how many people were nude at the nude beach. I thought it would be like half or three quarters. It was like 98% plus. I'm on their turf now. I'm gonna get naked. So I stroll around and it's very interesting to people watch in these environments. I was surprised by how many couples there were, hetero couples. I was surprised by how many straight people there were in general. Now, why do I know they're straight? Because they were coupled up, and a lot of groups of older couples as well. Again, such a Twilight Zone thing to see people just hanging out at the beach, and they're doing all regular beach things like drinking, eating like picnic foods, playing beach games, right? Like beach tennis or beach ping pong, whatever it's called. People brought like what is it called? Cornhole, where you throw the little pillow looking thing. Like they're playing all these games, but everybody's naked. It's unusual. So my next thought was like, are these swingers that they all hang out together? Or are they just part of like, like nudist culture, nudist communities? Like I feel like that should be a documentary in itself. And again, walking around, I definitely saw men who are just giving cruising energy because they're walking around people versus just going about a beach walk along the shore. So it feels very intentional in that way. And you can't help but look when you like what you see. But if you're like me, you also get self-conscious because you don't want to make somebody feel uncomfortable that you're just admiring their appendages. But also a lot of the men who were like those two guys I saw that I mentioned, the two black guys, one of them, I kept seeing him over and over and over, and he kept just wandering around. And so after a while, you're like, are they really looking to potentially meet somebody? Or is this like they get a high from being looked at because they know they're well endowed? Like, I feel like that's also a thing. People get turned on by being seen, like exhibitionists. So just all around, it's a fascinating environment to be in. And again, the fact that you can just like waltz onto this beach, I think is so unusual. Like, even though almost everybody's naked, I always felt weird when I would see people come into the beach and they're fully clothed. It almost felt like a betrayal, a betrayal, or like you're nervous that they don't realize this is a nude beach, because you do have to see those signs, and they're not enormous signs. So after hours at the beach out in the sun, I finally was like, okay, I need to pack up my shit and go home because it's a long bike ride back, right? On my way out, I'm still naked, and I see the other sexy guy from when I had first come in who was well endowed. Exhibit A. I see Exhibit A again, and I hadn't seen him this whole time since I had first laid down. So of course I think it's destiny. And we cross paths, and we're both nude again. And as we cross paths, I look at him, he looks at me for a millisecond and then looks away. And I go, hey, and he just keeps walking. And I was, you're thrown off, right? Like, how often do you see a sexy naked guy? You're crossing paths, you think it's destiny, and he just kept walking. And I was so confused because I was convinced when I had first laid down naked, I was convinced he was checking me out, and that's why he came right past me. And then this time, we're again crossing paths. It just felt very intentional. So I'm thrown off that he looked and then quickly looked away. And now I'm looking back, and he's about 20 feet down, and I see him interacting with a woman, and she just keeps walking. And now he's doing with her what I was doing with him, meaning he's still looking back, like hoping she turns around, kind of thing. And it dawned on me, I'm like, he's a hetero. He's a straight man, or at least he's curious, but he likes women. And it's just so funny that it never dawned on me he could be straight. I just assumed he's a naked guy cruising at the beach. He must be gay, but I guess straight men do that at nude beaches too. So it was time to leave this twilight zone. And interestingly, it got weirder before it got normal again, before I returned to the normal simulation of our universe. As I'm biking back, I'm shirtless in my bathing suit, in my trunks, right? So I'm like half naked, wet, sunburned, the whole thing. And I see Hasidic Jews everywhere. Randomly, there's a huge Hasidic Jewish community in Miami, but I guess this was like the hub because, again, just imagine me on a bike, half naked. I was surrounded. Like, the only people I saw for maybe a mile were Hasidic Jews. They're dressed head to toe, covered. I felt like a lady of the night compared to them, Like, I felt self-conscious. I'm like, maybe I got to cover up a little bit. I mean, I'm coming home from the beach clearly, but I just thought that was so funny that you have this nude beach, and literally the neighborhood right outside is like as conservative as it gets. Like, welcome to Florida. Welcome to Miami. Welcome to the United States, where black is white and white is black and left is right and right is left, and nothing ever makes sense. But it's part of the culture of being in the US, I guess. Have you ever been to a nude beach? Are you into nude beaches? Is it something you're curious about? Is it something that freaks you out? I have to say, I feel kind of both ways. There's something very liberating about it, but it also is very jarring to see naked people everywhere. And, if your carnal desires come out, you're like, I feel like I'm not supposed to feel this way here. I feel like it's not appropriate. Like I said, there was a child at one point. I'm like, it's like my brain can't catch up, can't compute. But it's also just an interesting place to people watch and to, be in your birthday suit, as they say. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I'll catch you guys next time.